In this video, we're going to show you how to remove and replace a rear leaf spring, front shackle, and bracket on a Ford F-150. Remove the tire. So you're going to want to lower the vehicle so that the tire just touches the ground. On this side, I'm going to have the tire off so that I can get to the shackle bolts easy, and I'm going to use a jack stand. So you want the pressure off the leaf spring so you can remove the shackle U-bolts. Like I said, you want the tire to hit the ground, take the pressure off the leaf springs. I'm going to line up my jack stand right now. So with a 21mm socket, I'm going to remove the nut on each one of these shackle U-bolts. I pre-sprayed them. So now I'm going to remove the shackle from the front forward bracket, 19mm socket in the back holding the bolt steady, and 21mm socket on the gun. So I put a floor jack here on this end of the spring so I have some support in case that spring decides to give a little pop action. Now I can lower this. Well, the jack's not really doing anything. So the rear shackle on ours is broken, so we're not going to unbolt it, but obviously if yours is not broken, unbolt the rear shackle to pull the spring out. So now I'm going to raise the vehicle, take that pressure off, and pull that leaf spring right out so I can do the brackets. The nut is an 18mm socket and the head of the bolt is a 17mm socket. We have 4 of these to take out. We're going to move them all the way around. Last one. So now we have our new bracket and new hardware. So we're going to place that right up in the spot. And if you looked at the old one, the person put the stud on the outside. I'm going to do the opposite and put the nut on the inside and the head of the bolt on the outside. The nut has a Teflon thread at the end, so you want to put the flat part against. So it's a self-locker, which is going to help you. Last one. Now I'm going to snug these up, try to make it as level as possible. 17mm wrench and a 17mm socket. So the manufacturer's torque is 57 to 76 foot-pounds. I'm going to go with the max because it is a leaf spring and I want it tightened. I'm going to crisscross so I'm not twisting anything. So with a 21mm socket, 21mm wrench, let's see if we can get this bracket that's broken bushing bolt out. Okay, let's heat her up. So now I have a bushing puller in the end of the leaf spring, and I'm pulling that old bushing out, and I'm going to do the same to both sides. So now that we have our bushing out, we're going to take some sandpaper, and we're just going to clean up any burrs or rough rust that has formed. Don't forget to take a cold chisel and a hammer. I did that already because there was a couple of pieces of steel stuck in there. So if you see a burr that you can't get with sandpaper, don't be afraid just to knock it out. Get rid of that. You don't want the steel that's getting pressed in, the new bushing, to get caught on anything. So once you feel it smooth, good to go. Just going to get it a little. All right, so this end is kind of knurled up, so I just went to the other side here. And I'm going to do the same on this side and see if I can start it at least. There we go. So now I'm going to get a ball joint press. So I laid the leaf spring down, give it a little bit extra cushion. And now I'm going to use a ball joint press. We're going to press this in. Okay, let's get that socket. Make sure it's going the right way. So now you gotta muscle this up, and I gotta put the leaf spring right in on the differential seat, and then put the U-bolt bracket over. So let's go for it. So I have to lift up the rear part of the leaf spring to get it to go into the shackle. So I'm gonna put it on the, I think it's gonna be more, there we go. Now I'm gonna get the bolt, see if I can line that in. Perfect. Let's get the nut and put it on the back and start it. Now I'm going to center the leaf spring on the differential. You have a little nub here, and the nub's on the other side. You're going to center that into that plate. Okay, differential moved a little bit. No big deal. So I've got to push it back this way. There we go. Now I'm going to take my U-bolt bracket, center that, make sure that U-bolt's there. Now, normally I would say you really want to replace your U-bolts because they stretch, but I usually only do that when I do a new leaf pack. Being the old leaf pack, I'm not going to do that. But if you're replacing the leaf pack at the same time, I strongly recommend getting new U-bolts and nuts because they do stretch. They go under a lot of pressure. All right, so now I'm just gonna try to line this up with the rear shackle. So lift it up a little bit, pull that back, get that bolt started. Okay, I'm gonna move it just a hair. Which way? There we go. We'll put the nut on. Now, once those U-bolts are tightened, I can actually lower this down a little bit, take some of that spring pressure off. And don't forget that even though you tighten this, that steel shank in that bushing should allow it to pivot some. I'm gonna spray these, give it a little. .21mm socket. That's the one that never moved. So, like I said, the head of the bolt is a 19mm socket and the nut is a 21. I'm gonna get a deep socket because it sits far in there. And I have a breaker bar, half-inch breaker bar, holding that on. We are going to torque these, but I'm going to snug it up. Hear that sound? That's a dead stop. I'm going to leave that on. I'm going to go get my torque wrench, torque this. So the head of the bolt is an 18mm socket. The torque for the Shackle bolt to leaf spring is 83 to 113 foot-pounds. We're going to do right to 113. So I lowered the truck completely down on the jack stand, so there's no more weight on this leaf spring. So that shackle is going to sit right where it's on the ground. 21mm wrench on the back here and 18mm socket on the bolt head. Torque is 83 to 113 foot-pounds. So I'm going to snug it up and then I'm going to bottom it out at 113 foot-pounds. Let's do the top. Good. Beautiful. So now that the leaf spring's all in, front and back, all shackles are tight, make sure that you check in 100 miles, 200 at the most, and come back and retighten these U-bolts. They're going to loosen up a little bit and shift with the differential, so snug them up again at 100 to 200 miles. Go in a crisscross pattern. Now we can lower it and torque it. Wheel torque is 100 foot-pounds. We're going to do the crisscross just like installing it. One last time. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.